I ran. I ran like I never had before. It felt like my heart would burst out of my chest at any second, and my lungs burnt with every breath. Muscles I didn't even know I had ached. Even when I thought I couldn't go any further, I kept running. When I finally collapsed, all I could see were trees and darkness in all directions. I was completely lost. I laid down on my back and caught my breath. What can I do now? I've lost everything. No home to return to, no family. What would everyone at the orphanage think when they found out? Would they be disappointed? Angry? Will they just think I've abandoned them? Betrayed them? A million thoughts ran through my head all at once. I took a deep breath of the fresh forest air and calmed my thoughts. It was only then that I realized the situation I was in. Here I was, sprawled out on the forest floor, alone, at night. I suddenly picked up all the things I hadn't noticed before. A scratching sound, bushes rustling, a howling from somewhere far in the distance. The wind picked up and whipped my hair around my face, only adding to the sudden terror that had struck my heart. All the stories I had been told since childhood about venturing outside of Aurelia Cavella hit me, and I hadn't even heard of them. I've repeated the same ones to the children time and time again. Nobody left the confines of Aurelia Cavella. The forest was a dangerous place that spread to the far corners of the planet. Only by the protection of the beings above had we lived in peace for so long. I strained my eyes, trying to look into the darkness that surrounded me. Finally, I dragged myself up from the forest floor. I pulled my coat tighter around myself for security and nervously checked that I still had all my belongings before turning back the way I came. Maybe if I stay closer to the city lights, I'll scare away any danger.
It was this way, right? Or this way?
No matter which direction I turned to face, the trees looked the same, and from every angle I could hear strange noises.
Come on. Which way? Which way?
I worked my head from left to right before dropping my head into my hands. I unconsciously let out a sigh.
It's hopeless.
Once again, I was surrounded by the sounds of the forest and the feeling of the unknown. Who knew it would be this scary? An eerie feeling gripped my heart. I could feel eyes on me.
No. I must be imagining it.
Suddenly it was quiet. All I could hear was my own heartbeat quickening by the second I had to get out of here. Well, excuse me. There's no sense of direction. I just ran until I couldn't run anymore. No matter where I went, everything looked the same. The trees started to blend together in my eyes, becoming one entity. I collapsed onto the ground and crawled backwards until my body hit a tree. Just having something behind me made me feel more secure. I buried myself into its huge roots. I could barely see my hand in front of my face in the pitch black darkness. The night was freezing. I brought my knees up to my chest, hugging in tight to try and get some warmth. I felt the letter that I had hidden in my clothes.
I'm sorry.
Aww. With the letter clutched close to my heart, I shut my eyes to try and escape from the dangers of reality.
Destined child. False prophecy. Speak. Awaken.
Oh my god. What is happening? Oh. I woke with a start. I went, oh, because the shadows. Do you see the leaf pattern? You know, shadow, branches, leaves.
What was with that dream? I feel like that's not the first time either.
Everything felt kind of hazy, and I could barely recall what it was about. I uncurled my body from the forest floor and started to take notice of my surroundings. Rays of bright light shone between tree branches, bringing a slight warmth to my face. It felt nice after the cold wind from last night. The air felt crisp, which must be a sign it's still early.
What?
When I finally started looking around me, I noticed something strange. What? Oh, I was surrounded by beautiful flowers, kinds I've never seen before.
When did these get here?
God, he's so pretty, look at him! Aww. It was so dark last night that I couldn't tell if they were here before. They could have been, but The formation is a little strange. I let out a sigh.
What's with all of these strange things happening to me?
The strange pain I had in town square just yesterday, the dreams that I had that I can only half remember, not to mention the markings on my arm. I raised my arm up to the sky, inspecting it closely in the light. I traced the symbols lightly with my fingertips.
It's definitely the same symbols from the book I brought with me. What is it trying to tell me?
I absent-mindedly played with the flowers that surround me whilst recalling the events of yesterday.
I need to find someone that can read these markings. But there's no way I'll be able to sneak back into Aurelia Cavella.
My heart! the art is so good! I pulled the book out and looked through some of the other pages. I could read the majority, but they looked relatively unimportant. It was mostly just charts and lists. The most important parts were the king's bloodline, and then one of the unknown languages that matched my markings. Everyone knows the monarchy unexpectedly ended around 20 years ago, but the reasons why weren't widely known or disclosed. Oh, did the past king got kicked out, and he was the next one in line, but they left him at the side of the road? I don't know. I guess. I looked over the names again. King Xion of Sid Kahem. What is this Sid Kahem? Why does the bloodline only start 300 years ago? And this Prince Caspian, 37 years ago, was that his birth date? The date he was crowned?
He could still be alive. He might be able to tell me what this marking means. If only I knew where he was.
I suddenly realized just how hungry I was. I guess the last time I ate any food was yesterday. I tried to swallow, but my throat felt all dry and scratchy. I'm seriously thirsty. I searched my pockets, but I couldn't find anything to eat with me. Finally, I got up and stretched my shoulders out. I'd give anything to sleep on a bed instead of the ground again. First task today, find water.
Easier said than done, of course.
I glanced at the trees around me, but I have no clue which way I came from last night. I'll just have to pick a direction and hope for the best. I brushed the dirt off my clothes and start my hike to find water. The sun was out high above me now, warming my chilled body and calming my mind. Compared to last night, the forest wasn't even half as terrifying. Sunlight filtered through the green leaves above, leaving interesting patterns all over the ground. Moss grew over the forest tree trunks and roots, making everything look fuzzy and warm. I could hear the faint tweeting of the birds up in the canopy. Instead of scary, it was actually kind of beautiful. The only sounds I could hear was my own breathing, and twigs breaking under my boots. It was peaceful, even serene, when the sun was up. Without noticing, I was slowing my pace, taking in the scenery and enjoying the atmosphere. Everything that happened last night felt like a dream. Wild flowers littered the ground where I was walking, so I tried to avoid stepping on them. I knelt down and picked one to bring with me. I kept walking at my own pace like this for a while, before I was hit with a foul stench that quickly overpowered the fresh smell of the flower in my hand. It was kind of like off meat mixed with something sickeningly sweet. I kept walking and it kept getting stronger.
What is that?
In the distance, I could see some kind of cloth jutting out from under the brush. The closer I got, the more overpowering the smell was. It looked like some kind of knapsack? Could there be food in there? Water? Something I could use out here? I tried to pull it out from under the bushes, but it must have been stuck in the branches. I grabbed on with both of my hands and gave it one big pull.
Whoa!
Ooh. It came out easily when I used all of my weight, but I pulled so hard I fell backwards on my butt. The smell was suddenly so sickening that I couldn't help but gag. Oh no, okay. When I looked down at my lap, the knapsack sat between my legs and I could feel something wet touching my leg. I reached down to grab it, whatever it was stone cold and slightly damp. What is that? I held my breath, the stench completely overpowering my senses. Slowly I wrapped my hand around it and pulled it into view.
3, 2, 1.
With a final surge of courage, I pulled it into view. No. Oh god, I could feel all the blood instantly drain from my face. I threw it as far as I could, but I could still see it poking out from the bushes. I scrambled away as fast as possible, trying to put some distance between myself and that thing.
No.
This doesn't happen. I turned quickly away and my stomach lurched. Oh my god. The branch stuck— sorry, I read ahead. I didn't read it out loud. The bag wasn't stuck in the branches, it was stuck to someone's arms, and I just pulled one right off. I brought my hand to my chest, the feeling of my heartbeat on my palm the only thing making this feel real. Oh my god. I gagged it again, this time much more violently than before. It was just lucky my stomach was still empty. There's no way. This couldn't be happening to me. Just yesterday I was living a normal life. Safe and happy. How did it come to this? I glanced back in the direction I threw it. It hadn't moved. An arm. A decomposing human arm. Who would be out here? I can't think of anyone wanting to leave Aurelia Cavela. No one leaves. I've never even heard of anyone else being expelled. Then, have others also been outcast like this? How long has this body been here? Another wave of nausea washed over me. I wouldn't be surprised if it was actually the older people that end up going to wherever they're supposed to go afterwards. I could feel the moisture in my hands. The slimy mucus left a brown sludge all over my palms. Ugh. I rubbed my hands on the ground until they were red raw, but the stains weren't going anywhere. Why wouldn't it come off?
Get off! Please, get off!
Most of it was gone, but I could still tell it was there. It felt disgusting. The pangs of hunger I felt only a few minutes ago were completely gone. Thank the gods I haven't found anything to eat yet. Would have instantly lost it. I couldn't move. There has to be a reason it's out here, so far from Aurelia. But why? What could have done this to them? I glanced back towards the bushes from behind my fringe. If there was an arm, was the rest of them there too? I don't want to find out.
I have to get out of here!
That didn't match the writing that well. I leapt back to my feet, spun around and sped away, giving no notice to the knapsack I left in the grass.
How long have I been running?
Too long. I could still feel it. When I looked down at my hands, there was nothing there, but I could still feel it. No matter where I looked, I felt like it was still there, always watching me. The sound it made when I ripped the bag from the bushes, it echoed through my mind.
Wait, what's that?
Sounds like water. Is that water? I could definitely hear a faint trickling nearby. I quickened my pace and burst out from the trees in a flurry of leaves.
Water!
I was met with a river. On either side of the banks were littered with a colorful array of trash, clothing, and various odds and ends. I barely noticed, though. All that mattered is that I could get clean and drink. Without any thought, I kicked off my clothes and stripped down to my underwear as I ran towards the water's edge. I launched myself from the bank directly into the river. Who cares about walking around with wet underwear later? The shallow water came up to my waist. Oh no, there's someone there. We're being watched. The cool water felt refreshing against my sweaty skin. Finally, water. I kept scrubbing at my arms, hands, and legs until they were red raw. It felt like I was rubbing away the memories from earlier. Once I was satisfied with that, I moved on to my hair. The sweat and grease from yesterday was already building up.
That feels better already.
My head instantly whipped up towards the opposite bank. Who dat? Oh, you too. Oh my god. On the opposite bank stood a young blue-haired boy with a completely dumbfounded look on his face. His arms were full of a multitude of items. Oh god. Before I could open my mouth, he turned and ran.
Wait!
I bolted back for my clothes and took off in the same direction I last saw the boy. As I ran, I could hear the distant sounds of leaves and sticks crunching in front of me. At least he hasn't gotten away yet. The ground here looks like it's been used all the time. It formed what could have also been called a path. He must come this way a lot. Between the trees, I caught a brief glimpse of his blue locks. Wow, that reading. A plus me. Woo. Soon more of his figure came into view as I gained on him.
Hey, wait, please!
He obviously wasn't going to wait. He was close enough now that I could almost touch him. I reached out to grab him, but only managed to brush my fingertips against his back. This might be my only chance. I can't risk him getting away. With the last of my energy, I leapt towards him. Whoa!
Got you!
Oh my god! Hello!
I said wait!
I tackled the boy to the ground and held him there with my arms either side of his head, my lungs burnt from the chase. The boy below me looked terrified. His body was shaking underneath mine.
I'm not going to hurt you. I just want to talk.
He suddenly turned bright red. He wasn't looking at my face, though. When I followed his gaze, he was looking somewhere lower. Then I realized I hadn't quite dressed yet.
I didn't. I mean...
I could finally see the boy up close. His pale blue hair was feathered around here. Let me start over. I could finally see the boy up close. His pale blue hair was feathered around him, and his silvery eyes were wide and scared. When his lips trembled, he looked like he could cry at any moment. He seemed fragile, breakable. His face was slowly getting wetter the longer I lent my soggy hair over him.
I'm so sorry.
Are you hungry?
Yeah.
I quickly got off him and picked my clothes up, cradling them to my chest.
I'm going to put my clothes back on, so don't go anywhere, please.
The other boy got up slowly, keeping his eyes on the ground and nodding his head slightly. I turned around and slid my clothes back on as fast as I could. I fumbled a little while trying to tying my shoes up. The R was still going in there. Hello. I have expected the blue-haired boy to be gone when I turned around, but he wasn't.
I'm done now. Listen, I'm sorry for jumping on you like that. I'm not trying to hurt you, but you're the only person I've seen alive out here. My name's Rain.
I reached my hand out towards him. He looked down at my open paw and hesitated, but eventually took my hand and shook it.
Fawn.
Fawn?
My name?
Oh, Fawn. It's nice to meet you.
I noticed the items he was carrying were littered across the ground. Wait for him to finish collecting his things or help him. I instantly bent down to help him pick up his things. There were clothes in a rainbow of colors, strange ornaments, glasses without lenses, and an array of random junk. When I handed them back to him, he smiled at me with his tinted red face.
Oh, thank you.
So, what are all of these things?
They're for my personal collection.
His eyes suddenly lit up.
Do you want to see?
I do.
Oh, I mean, I have food and water back in my house that I could share with you.
Really? Are you sure?
He's so cute! My hunger and thirst from earlier had returned with a vengeance. I'm starving.
Yeah, there's enough for both of us.
With his arms full of items to add to his collection, he turned around and started walking. I guess he wanted me to follow after him? I jogged up to walk beside him.
So, Fawn, you live here in the forest? By yourself?
Oh, yeah, not far from here. Not by myself, though. I live with a bunch of my friends.
Really? You all live out here together? For how long?
He stopped for a couple of seconds before speaking again. He seemed pretty deep in thought.
A while now.
Helpful.
Why did you leave Aurelia Cavella when the divine beings don't protect the outside land?
What?
The speaker says it's too dangerous to even enter the forest, let alone live here. How did you get here?
A speaker? Aurelia Cavella? Are you talking about the town to the west of here? Across the river?
Fawn frowned at me a little, obviously confused by what I was saying.
You don't know the speaker?
I've never been there before, so...
Wait, so you were born out here?
No, I came here as a child.
What's up with this guy? Maybe he's delusional from being out here for so long.
Alright. Sure.
I just let it go. It was obvious Fawn didn't know exactly what he was talking about. Before I could ask anything else, we stopped in front of a tall tree with a rope ladder hanging down from it. When I looked up, I could see a small wood hut set in the trunk.
You live in a tree?
It's safer to be up high during the night.
He gave me a soft smile while he loaded a bag full of his new items and slung it across his back. I couldn't help but think about the knapsack from earlier. Best just to try and forget about it. Fawn started climbing up the ladder with ease and waved at me from the top.
I guess it's my turn.
I grabbed on the ladder and climbed up after him.
Wow.
Ooh. When I came up the ladder and into Fawn's treehouse, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It consisted of only one room with a makeshift bed, a couple of chairs, and a few other random bits of furniture. That's not what impressed me, though.
You collected all of this? From the riverbank?
Yes. I've been collecting it all slowly over time.
It looked so happy with my reaction. The whole room was filled with different colored glass, cloth, old books, all manner of items. It all blended together into something that looked magical. Even though it was all abandoned, thrown together items, there was something homey about it. Fawn was busy scurrying around the room, putting things away and dusting. I watched the light trickle in from the outside. It went through the colored glass, making the floor into a rainbow. When he'd finished that, he dug up around in some baskets before presenting me with a bowl of mixed fruit and nuts and a cup full of water. My hunger and thirst from earlier had come back in full force. I greedily ate the food and guzzled down the water, all the while Fawn sat on the opposite side of the room watching me. Wow, I started trembling there. He had an inquisitive look in his eyes. He kind of reminded me of the kids back in the orphanage. He obviously wanted to say something.
You're the first person I've ever seen out here, and I've lived here for a very long time.
I thought you lived with friends, though.
Oh, my friends are actually...
Before he could finish speaking, a rustling sound came from outside. It was slowly getting closer, until...
Ah!
Oh my god! Oh my god, he's so cute! Look at the bird on his head, I can't! Ah, god. I jumped out of my seat. In the door came a fox, a raccoon, 2 birds, and a few animals I've never seen before.
Guys, you're back!
I looked over at Fawn. Obviously this is a surprise. Oh god, I'm just so okay. I looked over at Fawn. Obviously this didn't surprise him. He bent down and pet all of the animals, giving them nuts and berries as he went. I couldn't help but stare at the soft smile he had on his face.
Rain? These are my friends. We've lived together for years now. I'm sorry they gave you a fright. I'll tell them to come in quietly next time.
That's not really the problem, I guess.
He leant down further and started whispering to them.
You can talk to them?
Of course. Sometimes they don't do what I tell them, though. They must just be going through a rebellious phase.
So he can't talk to them. I didn't say anything though, there's no point upsetting him.
Then I really am the only person you've seen out here. You've been alone since you were a child?
Yes. I'm sorry I ran from you. I didn't know what to do when I saw you at the river. And it takes me a bit to think through what I'm saying in my head. I'm not used to talking to other people.
I looked at the floor in embarrassment when I remembered jumping on him, white and nearly naked.
In the forest, I saw an arm. A dead body. I had to wash it off of myself.
I glanced back up at Fawn.
I spent the night running and then slept under a tree. I have absolutely no clue where I am. I don't know how you can live here. It's terrifying.
He stayed silent for a few seconds. I guess he was thinking through what he was going to say.
I can see why you would think that. The forest around here is dangerous, but
He stopped for a moment.
it can be beautiful too. The beauty is hiding danger, but the danger is also hiding beauty.
I stared at him. Earlier I did think it was beautiful for a while, so maybe he's right. Still, I would much rather be back in Aurelia, Cavella.
I see what you mean, but I'm not looking forward to spending another night out there. I wish there was somewhere else to go.
Fawn tilted his head.
Well, there's a bunch of places you could go. Oxabor, Stagwitch, Duskmoor, Sidcaeum, Dewick. They're all pretty close to here. The last time I checked, anyway.
There's the word. There's Sidcam. We should go there. My ears perked up at one of the things Fawn mentioned.
Sidcaeum? What is that?
It's the... what do you call it? The capital?
The capital? The capital of what?
Of the region, I suppose?
Oh my god, we are a sheltered village! Honestly, I had no idea what he was blabbering on about. Capital of the region? What region? Outside, the sun was slowly disappearing and the night was filling up with stars. I stared outside for a moment, dreading going back. Last night, it was terrifying, but what choice do I have?
I guess I better head off now, before it gets too dark to see where I'm going. Thank you for the food and water. I don't know what I would have done without you there.
Oh my god. He's so precious. He's not gonna even ask to stay or anything. It doesn't even come to his mind to ask to stay. I got up slowly and made my way towards the ladder.
Oh, wait!
My hand was suddenly clasped from behind before I could start climbing down.
Why don't you stay here tonight?
Really? Would that be okay?
Yeah, my bed's only small, but I can sleep on the floor tonight.
Oh, no, I couldn't. You take the bed. I'm happy to sleep on the floor. It's much better than outside like last night.
Really, I don't mind.
We both looked at each other for a moment before breaking out into laughter. This could go back and forth forever with the two of us. They're so cute.
How about we just share the bed then? I think we'd both fit.
Fawn lit up again, as red as a rose. As red as a rose. Oh my god.
I've never...
He glanced around, not making eye contact with me, fidgeting and playing with his calm down. Fidgeting and playing with his clothes.
shared a bed with anyone before.
Was that something to be embarrassed about? Oh, maybe he's worried that I'll push him out of bed?
Don't worry. I'll make sure not to take up too much room. I grew up in an orphanage, so I'm used to sharing beds and stuff.
At the word orphanage, he stopped and looked into my eyes.
You didn't know your parents?
No. Did you?
He looked away again.
No.
He didn't look like he wanted to talk about it, so I didn't press him.
I'm not mad at my parents or anything, though. I had a good family at the orphanage. The judgment I received wasn't particularly good, so that's probably why it happened.
Oh, what? That's right, we don't even know what his judgment is.
Judgment?
We both shared another confused look. Had being out here alone really made him forget the most simple things?
Yeah, you know.
Oh my god. It's gonna take him a while to realize, like, the aura of whatever the place is called. If I can't see it, I don't remember. That it's probably like a sheltered kind of village that just doesn't let anyone go, I guess.
The judgment you receive the day you're born? From the Divine Speaker. My fate wasn't very impressive, apparently.
You learned your fate the day you're born?
Of course. Everyone does.
They don't do that where I'm from.
Yeah, definitely a little confused.
If you're not tired, there's something I'd like to show you.
Okay. I was feeling a little tired, honestly, but if he was letting me stay here tonight, then I don't mind following him around for a while.
Sure. I'm not tired anyway.
Stop lying! His face lit up. He gets this childlike, adorable look on his face when he gets excited.
It's not that far from here, follow me!
Fawn basically bounced out of the room, down the ladder and onto the forest floor. I followed after him, not quite sure where this was headed. I followed Fawn for a few minutes before he stopped in my tracks and peered out between the trees.
We're here. Follow me carefully.
Started climbing downwards, but it didn't look too difficult. It was, though, apparently.
What?
Before I could slip all the way down, Fawn reached out and grabbed my hand.
Careful! It can be a little slippery here. Keep holding my hand and we'll go down together.
Oh no. No, he's blushing. Look at his face. Ugh. I watched the ground more carefully this time, embarrassed that I'd slipped up after he warned me. I kept a hold of Fawn's hand, and we eventually got to the bottom of the steep hill.
It's here. Look.
He parted the last tree branches and stood in our way. Whoa. The scene before me was right out of a fairy tale. A large lake was spread out in front of my eyes, the night sky brimming with stars as far as I could see. In the darkness of the night, the water became a mirror. It reflected the stars right back at the sky, not to be outdone.
It's beautiful. I've never seen anything like it. Back home, I never would have known this existed.
I could barely form the words. Who knew something like this could exist? I sat down with Fawn, entranced by the scene that laid out before me.
I thought you might like it. You see,
Oh god, no, they're pretty.
this lake's full of all kinds of fish. Mostly the kind that would like to eat you for dinner.
He giggled a little bit.
But that doesn't stop it from being beautiful. The world isn't just black and white. There's things in the middle too. And I think this forest is one of those things. You didn't look very convinced earlier, so I just wanted to show you that even a dangerous place like this can be somewhere you can call home. It's all about how you look at it, your perspective on things.
He quickly withdrew his hand from mine. I completely forgot he was even holding it.
This is a pretty big lake, though. It's strange that it's not on the map.
I haven't seen a map in a while, so I'm not sure.
He was crimson red from the top of his ears to his chin like a tomato. We just sat silently. We watched the fish just below the surface, the stars that almost seemed to dance around us. But secretly, I watched Fawn's profile. The moon made his pale skin look even paler. It's a little hard to explain, but it's almost like he fit in with the forest. He was part of it as much as the trees, the fish, the stars. He belonged. When he caught me staring, he looked away embarrassed.
Anyway, let's head back now. It'll start to get cold soon.
Right. I'll try not to slip over this time.
They're cute. Ugh. When we got back, I started getting ready to sleep straight away. It's been a really long day. It's all caught up with me at once. I rolled up my sleeve a little and looked at the markings running down my arm. There was no point hiding it from Fawn. I felt like I could trust him enough. Plus, he's bound to find out one way or another.
Hey, Fawn?
He looked over at me with sleepy eyes.
I wanted to show you something. Yesterday, when I was still in Aurelia Cavella, it suddenly appeared on my arm. It hurt, like it was being burnt into my skin.
I lifted my arm and showed it to him.
This... I've seen this writing somewhere before.
He grabbed my arm and examined the markings closely.
Before I was here, I've definitely seen this somewhere.
I watched him excitedly, but to no avail. No matter how hard he thought, it wasn't coming back to him.
I'm sorry. How did it happen?
I'm not sure. One minute I was in a crowd of people completely fine, and then I was suddenly in so much pain, I blacked out. And when I woke up, it was there. Maybe it's not important.
He watched me carefully, thinking.
Well, it sounds important to me. I'll keep thinking about it. Maybe it'll come back to me in the morning after we rest. Turn around while I get ready for bed.
Fawn got into bed first and hid himself under the covers quickly. I shuffled in next to him. It was a bit of a tight squeeze, but at least our skin wasn't touching or anything. I made sure to give him plenty of room.
Why are you out here anyway?
Fawn looked over his shoulder at me, leaving the rest of his body facing the wall.
They.
I tried to think up some good excuse, but there was none.
I got exiled. I went somewhere I shouldn't have gone. Honestly, I thought I'd be dead by now. We've always had it drilled into us that you can't survive out here. But for some reason, it's not quite as bad as I thought it would be.
Fawn smiled at me, a sleepy, happy smile, before turning back over and drifting off to sleep. It didn't take long for me to follow after him.
Open your eyes.
Oh god, that scared me.
Protect. Heal. Destiny. Open your eyes. Open your eyes.
Oh my god. I woke up with a start, sweating and shaking. Fawn sat up at the speed of light, jumping to his feet.
What is it?
I waited for my breath to go back to normal.
No, nothing. I just had a weird dream. I keep having the same one.
Oh my gosh. I thought you were dying or we were being attacked or something. But what happened in your dreams to scare you so much?
I thought back over it, but part of it was so scary. Well, I'm not sure. They just seem to be getting more powerful every time.
I don't really know. There's voices. Loud, powerful, booming voices. They keep telling me something. To open my eyes about destiny.
Fawn stopped for a minute, like he does occasionally when he's thinking about what to say.
Maybe it means something. It could be some kind of vision.
Vision? Things like that don't exist, though.
Really? I've heard there are some people with strange abilities. So, I don't see how having visions is much different.
But we've always been taught that... Just forget it. I'm sure they don't mean anything.
I'm sorry. You might be right. I was just thinking out loud.
Oh.
You know, you don't need to apologize so much. Especially not for talking. You didn't do anything wrong.
You're right. I'm sorry. I mean, okay.
No. Fawn busied himself moving around the room and preparing food. I looked outside. The sun was just starting to show in the distance, so it was still early. A little mist spread out through the trees. We ate more scavenged food and watched the sun as it rose up above us. Something about all this seemed too normal, like I'd already been staying here for ages. The events of a few nights ago seemed so distant. All that exists is now.
Rain, I was thinking, I know we only just met. Would you like to live with me here?
Oh my god! Thank you so much for playing our demo. We've been hard at work to bring this to you, so we hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. If you come across any issues, please message us on Twitter. It's only the beginning. If you'd like to see the rest of the game and want to support us, please consider backing our Kickstarter when it's live. It's live, guys! Again, links in the description.
From all of us, thank you for playing the demo of the Divine Speaker.
We've only just met, but I can't wait to see you again.
I don't think there's anyone here that would want to see you, Pipsqueak.
Oh.
Oh no, stop bullying him.
Leos. Anyway, there's so much more to show you.
Like me. I'll be happy to show Rain any parts he wants.
Oh my god.
Maybe if you're lucky, you'll get a touch too.
Oh, whoa, hold on. Back up.
I don't think so, Shorty.
Huh? Did you say something?
Yeah, I said.
Pardon?
This is getting a little off track.
Maybe we should say goodbye now?
Yeah, you two, break it up. From all of us, have one last massive thank you. Please support us from here on out.
See you later. Oh my god! Yes! I'm so excited for this game. Just go check the link. Click the link. Go. Support them. Throw money at them. Do it for me. Think of me as you pledge. Go. Be free! I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye!